Finally on time, missed the last stream altogether. If you're talking about the Tuesday stream last week, welcome. If you're talking about the Thursday stream that I was going to do over the weekend, I have a little bit of a confession to make there. The Thursday kind of took a lot out of me, so I just didn't stream a second time last week. So we're hopefully going to make up for that lost progress today. We're getting pretty close to finishing up the blockouts for this entire dungeon though, so that should be good. Also, I'm a real streamer now. I have a triple monitor setup finally. So I can actually like Google things without chat disappearing, which is kind of good. So let's get to it, I suppose. I am exactly on time, which is quite surprising, actually. And oh my god, that's a can that just fell over. Really should clean up my desk. Good evening indeed. Yeah, so last time we did this, there might need to be a little bit more going. I think we also maybe did not provide the spawning conditions for these guys. That's going to be a thing that we have to go through at some point, but we made these, I think we call them like activators. Yeah, enemy activator. That I put down somewhere. Yeah, there we go. But I don't think we did that last time for these guys. So let's put down the enemy activators here for them. And then we'll... I do wish that I had the... oh, hold on. We're not on the right level. We're not on the right level. Abort! Abort! Gotta put you in 111, no, 19. Step up. So move selected actors to there. Then we can spawn you in. But I do think that for the most part, like spawning these one at a time is kind of not great. So let's spawn two of them at a time. And this is very easy to do now. So that's actually quite nice. We're going to go over every single remaining level at some point and go through and add these like trigger boxes to all of them. But for now, I think this will do. Just something simple like that. It's probably not a bad idea to like make this very tall as well. Yeah, that'll do. So then we simply just copy this over and 290 degrees around. And then after that, we're going to do some platforming design, which is going to be very fun, hopefully, to do. Yeah, so I did make a community post. Nice of you to bring it up because I was going to bitch about that. I did make a community post about whether or not I should redesign my character. And I will show a little bit more in a moment once these are in place. But at the moment, I'm running more and more into an issue where my character's limbs are just a little too tiny. And that is, oh, that's not good. Hold on. Oh, I just copied the overlap box. Oh, I should be paying more attention. Let's... I'll get back into the track in a moment. Just gotta like not fuck up this time. Yeah, so my character's limbs are a little bit on the short side, and that's really... I've complained about that a lot through the animation process for the last set of animations that I made for him. And I've been playing Final Fantasy VII Remake because I've got a new GPU and I can run it like full quality now at like ridiculous frame rates. It's quite cool. And in there I also was like, but the animations here are so fucking like much more impactful and just generally better. And a part of that, without a doubt, is the fact that that is made by world-class professional animators and not me. I don't have any illusions that if I have the same model and the same rig as those people, that I would even be able to make animations fucking close to that level of quality. Obviously not. But at the same time, I think what I have right now is also less than ideal. So I'm thinking, if I have longer arms, I can more easily have freedom in animating like rotational movements. Because right now I don't really have much that I can work with. Like for any swing movement, to get any sort of distance, I need to use shoulder, elbow, and wrist together. And for a swing motion, you're always going to use all three of those together. But because every single segment in that chain is so short with what I have right now, it's really difficult to make a swing that has those pieces moving in like a staggered way. So we start with the shoulder movement. I'm doing it physically, you can't see that, but like you start with the shoulder movement, then the elbow comes in, and at the very end the wrist like does the flick to get the like big swing part. That is like how a powerful swing is built up, and I can't really do that right now, because in order to get any sort of motion across in my animations, I need to use all three like at the same time, and that's just very, very limiting. So the real answer to that is making a character model that does that better, just has more reach in his arms to begin with. But that also would mean that I have to reanimate a couple of things that I already did. But most of the animation work that I have to do for this game is still ahead of me. So if I make this decision now, it's going to make the entirety of my animation workflow in the future a lot less painful as well. So there's that. And altogether, just if I rework my character, I can also rework it with the like Unreal Mannequin skeleton in mind, meaning that I can map pretty much all animations on the marketplace to it as well. And that would be like quite helpful, obviously, because then I don't have to make a lot of animations. Still a lot of animations for like specifically for cinematics and for very specific like gameplay animations. I need to still make them myself. But for that, I can then also use the provided control rig for the Unreal Mannequin that can just map onto my character as well, then, which is a really good rig. It's forward and backward solved already, so like all that just will work. So that'll make my life a lot easier. That skeleton also has full compatibility with use in Cascador. So for gameplay animations, I can probably use Cascador instead. My current skeleton doesn't really work in Cascador. That's to say I can animate with it, but the main like AI-driven features really require a very specific humanoid skeleton that I don't have. So all that together kind of leads me into... yeah, I'm probably going to redo the character, because if I don't do it now, I'll probably do it in like half a year, and there will be more work to redo, and eventually I'm going to have to redo it. The only issue is I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with the character yet, because if I just like take this, is that loud? It feels kind of loud. Maybe not, maybe it's just my volume, hold on. Yeah, that's a bit better. So yeah, if I just take this character, right, and I make his arms and legs longer, that doesn't quite work, I don't think. I also feel like I need generally more definition in this model. If this model is a little bit more like detailed, you'll also see the smaller movements in the body a little bit better. Because right now, if I go ahead and like twist parts of his spine, the silhouette doesn't change that much, and there is nothing on the actual character like geometry that really stands out. And like his texture, he doesn't have a texture, this is just like one black material. Doesn't really have enough detail for you to see like that perspective shift in like his upper back turning and that kind of stuff. So that's just generally like, I think this guy could do with a bit more detail. in his model on top of all that. And what I think is we need to make those arms like at least 50% longer, which means that the legs need to be a little bit longer, but that like maybe we need to change the torso a bit, and at that point like shrink the head a bit comparatively. But if everything just becomes slightly bigger and the head stays the same and we shrink the entire thing down, I think we can make that work. I also want to give him feet and maybe hands, because that's another one of those things where if you just do this for me real quick. Hold your arm out in front of you with the palm facing down. Then rotate your arm around so that your palm is now facing up. If you didn't have a hand, it would be, and potentially hair on your arm, if you have a hairy arm, it wouldn't be very like clear that you're rotating like your lower arm, right? Because the majority of that movement is visible through everything beyond the wrist. It's the hand and everything that the hand is holding. Of course, this side has the sword in it, but this side does not, which also means that those kind of rotations kind of get lost. And there's just a lot of details in the movement that are hard to convey with the model that I have right now. Anyway, that was a very long side tangent about a community post that I made. Sounded like a full day of work just redoing the character at least. It's probably going to be more, to be honest with you. It's probably going to be like 2 or 3 days of work. So that's why I don't want to do it right now, because I'm also busy. So probably what I'll do is I'll finish up the block outs here. And then the next thing on the to-do list is making a new character. But that's going to take a while. So I probably won't have the new character model in for the next playtest that I'm going to do. But I also want to do the next playtest through Steam, which means that I have to make a Steam page, which means that I have to have a name for the game, which I still don't. I think you can change the name on your Steam page, if I remember correctly. Right? Like, once I make that, am I locked into the name? Because I still don't have a name. Thoughts on outsourcing the character model, of course, costs creative liberty and money. I have thought about that, and I might. But for that, I first need to know what I want, right? And right now, I don't really know what I want. And for me, that process of figuring out what I want is partly Stable Diffusion, AI generating a bunch of images and just like picking bits and pieces of each one that I like. Oh yeah, now we're gonna have to redo all this. So yeah, this is a shit level. We'll talk about why in a moment. So I generate like 100 images of a character through the description that I want, and then I just pick. I like the torso of this one. I like the texture of the ribcage on this one. I like the claws on this one, and then I like put that together in a mood board and I start modeling. And then while in Blender, while modeling or sculpting, when the thing is taking shape, I get more inspiration. So by the time I know what I want, I usually have it. And then I could have an artist make a better version of that. But that seems like, you know, that is one of those things I can do that like a year from now. If I just want to replace the model and I have all the proportions in place and the skeleton and animations and stuff like that, at that point it would just be a matter of, hey, taking this exact skeleton and just mapping a new model onto it and just being able to swap it out. That's fine. But then I would already have like my reference thing of, hey, this is the model I made, but I just want a more high quality version of it. And I can just map it to the skeleton and the animations that already exist with my current model, because they probably won't be that different in terms of like shape and proportion, just in level of detail and like the quality of the model, the quality of the topology, that kind of stuff. And I don't have a bunch of money and budgets to be hiring people with to do stuff that I can reasonably do myself. Like, I'm going to need at some point to hire like a composer because I just cannot make good enough music. I can play a little bit of a tune for like temp tracks and to like get a general idea across, but I cannot make music quality enough to ship in a game. I could also outsource doing just the animations. That's a good point. And that's one of those things that I might, for like the main character at some point, and maybe some of the boss characters, I might outsource some gameplay stuff, but that's stuff that I can get close enough with on my own. While there definitely are things that I just need other people to do because I do not have the skill for them. What the fuck even is this frame? Why is this room so laggy? Maybe the material. So yeah, it's mostly like composers that I'm going to need to hire, and I'm gonna need like, I don't know, anywhere from like 15 to 20 music tracks that are loop friendly and have like different stems that I can use so that I can like dynamically increase and decrease them based on like game parameters and stuff like that. So it's probably going to be a fairly expensive job. Yeah, no worries about sidetracking me. Okay, so why does this level suck? I've been doing a lot of thinking and philosophy. Well, not philosophy maybe, but like introspection about level design. Because as a Kingdom Hearts fan, one of the things that you hear people say a lot, this game has bad design, specifically talking about things like Kingdom Hearts 2, because it's just a bunch of hallways connecting up to each other. And I've been taking that to heart and trying to design my levels in a way that they're not just a bunch of hallways connected up to each other. But then you come to a level like this, and like essentially, is this not just a hallway? Because you come in here, and there's one route to go to here. YouTube's not receiving enough data. YouTube, that is your problem. But then in this case, we have like a little bit of a side branch going in here. And then when we get up here, we have another side branch going to an optional door. And that makes us feel non-hallway-esque, is what I have come to conclude. And this, for instance, literally is just a hallway. And it functions as just a hallway, so it can be. This is a round room, but there's nothing happening here, right? Not that much anyway. And then we have a bit down here, which is fine. This is probably the least hallway-like room I have. Well, we also have a literal maze in here. So I think I've been doing a pretty good job of making levels that are not hallways. I'm specifically looking for, yeah, these ones over here. This level over here, this is literally just one hallway, right? We just go through, we go through, we go through, we go through. There's nothing as far as choices go. We just go through. That's very much a hallway. But this also is technically just a hallway, right? Because we go here, and then we go up, and then we like zigzag back and forth here. This already does feel a little bit less like a hallway. But essentially, it still is a hallway that just twists and turns around itself quite a lot. There's nothing like very dynamic going on. There's a little bit of extra space here that I can put a collectible or like an experience orb or whatever. But essentially this still is nothing more than a hallway. If you think about it, all paths are hallways. And that's what I was going to go with. Because if you think about it, take a game like Mario Odyssey. Mario Odyssey isn't a bunch of hallways, is it? My claim that all levels are essentially just a bunch of hallways kind of falls apart when you start thinking about open world games. But actually, I don't think that that's true. Because I think most open world games still are just a bunch of hallways, more interconnected hallways than I have right here, with just a bunch of dead space between them. Like in a normal game, you go from a hallway into another hallway into another hallway, and there's just a bunch of empty space in between them. Open world games just let you walk on that empty space. That's and sometimes like throw an interactable thing in there to make it feel worth your time. That's mostly the difference. And that if it is filled, it's usually procedurally filled as well. Like nobody is designing that stuff. So I think I went a little bit too hard on the trying to avoid a hallway-like feeling. Maybe include vertical hallways like up a platform path, or take the bottom hallway. I don't know. I don't see the criticism of the hallways being valid. Yeah, so that's what I'm getting at. I don't think a level being just a hallway by itself is a bad thing. What I think I should avoid is, if I zoom out this far, the dungeon as a whole shouldn't be a hallway, but it's not, because this is the first room you go into, and then you have the choice of going this route or going this route, and then this loops back into this central room, as well as this thing loops back into the central room, which then loops back into the back half of the dungeon here, and this room loops back into the like the top of this maze, which loops back into another dungeon. I don't think that the dungeon as a whole is designed like a hallway at all. I actually think that it's fairly intricately like looped back onto each other, where rooms connect up to other rooms in interesting and like challenging, novel ways. Each individual room can be fairly hallway-esque, I would say. And even within there, I have a lot of rooms that end up having like 3 separate hallways connecting up to each other. So that is what I've been thinking about over the last week or so. Is like the concept of what is a hallway, when is a hallway good, when is a hallway bad. Holy shit, it's raining very hard. Oh my god, okay. That's what I've been thinking about. And then I came back to this, and last week I said, I don't think we need to redesign this much, but you can definitely see that this room really tried being an island instead of a hallway. This is the way that I've always differentiated level design, is between island-based design and hallway-based design. And an island is just an empty spot where, or a disconnected spot where things are just like kind of put in as a sandbox, as a playground. And that's closer to what's happening here. But I think that generally makes for a looser level design. It's better for explorability, generally speaking, but that's not what I'm trying to do here. So, for instance, this area over here, this area that and I swear I'm going to actually do some level design at some point, but this area over here, what does this accomplish? Aside from not making this feel like a hallway and having like a little bit more of an open area to it, which can be a functionality, but I don't think it's a good functionality. What is the purpose of this? Because these platforms don't move left to right. These platforms only move like this direction over here. There's not even like an area that you can fall off into. This doesn't do fucking anything. So it doesn't need to exist. And that's kind of the thing that I'm thinking about. Like, if I just make this in a hallway-based way, and we can still have like these splits where you can go 1 or 2 different ways, and you can have like different optional objectives within that. But I think I've come to the conclusion that instead of trying to find a level design like workflow and philosophy that prevents me going too much into hallways, which again I think for like a ground on map design on a bigger scale is a good thing to keep in mind. But on a level per level basis, I actually think that I want to do the opposite. I think that I'm better off thinking about every individual like level, every individual one of these rooms as a hallway. Because that way it allows me to design first this, then this, like doing it much more linearly. And we can still have rooms, we should still have rooms, as a matter of fact, with like 2 or 3 doors. And necessarily, if you have more than 2 doors, or 2 or 3 extra doors is what I mean. Necessarily, if you have more than 2 doors in a room, each one of those should be able to connect up to other ones. Which means that we're going to have like either intersecting hallways or like branching hallways, but each individual one of those pieces is essentially still just a hallway. Have I said hallway too much in the last 10 minutes? Probably, yes. So that's kind of the philosophy that I'm going to go with, is just make a bunch of hallways, and that's a level. If you take a shot every time I say hallway over the past 10 minutes, and probably the rest of the stream, you're gonna die. Don't do that. I'm stuck in level design. What do you do when you lose inspiration, or where do you feel like a level is empty? Hopefully my entire rant there kind of answered that as well. As well as just playing games that are adjacent to what you're trying to make yourself. I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy VII, which is, again, pretty adjacent to what I was doing here. And Final Fantasy VII, like, fuck it. I'm just going to, hold on. I'm just going to boot up the game and show you. Because those maps are also just hallways, but they're fun and interactive. Well, not very interactive, but they're like fun to go through, right? So just boot up the game real quick. Oh, actually, I'm in Shinra HQ, so I might not have access to the map of... Oh yeah, that's a fantastic point. Let's see if I have access to the map. I do not. Well, never mind. That's... Didn't think about that. I'm just like entering the final stretch of the game, where you leave the main... I don't have any of the save files either. Okay, never mind. I can't show you the map because it doesn't allow you to see the map if you're not there. But it's also essentially just like one central area that has 3 hallways coming off of it. And some of those hallways branch off into their like own little side quests, which sometimes loop around into themselves or other hallways or whatever. But it's just a bunch of like straight paths out from a central point. And that's kind of made me realize, like, I didn't mind it there. Not at all. And then sometimes you have a town, and a town is just a little bit more complicated than that. Of course, because you're like weaving in between buildings. I'm going to start doing some actual level design now. So we're going to remove everything that we have here for right now, because I want to start with a clean slate that's not like this fucking ugly. We're even going to get rid of these ones. Eventually we'll be back with them. Don't you fucking worry. And we'll also get rid of the lights. We'll be getting rid of everything in here, which kind of hurts, but it's for the best, man. It's for the best. Some of these lights are also really fucking weird. I need to use light channels a little bit more. Lights that just show you the environment, but don't actually do anything for the like player character. Let's delete everything up to there. Yeah. And we also need to set our level context to 113. I wonder what this is going to look like once I have like all the levels in place. How's everybody else doing? I've been ranting a lot about hallways so far. Hopefully that was, if not interesting, at least entertaining. Oh, that's apparently one big mesh. It's kind of nice though, because I've been thinking about this for the past like 5 days straight. As I've been playing Final Fantasy and been thinking about my own game. And it's kind of nice to be able to like discuss and think about this a little bit more. Because I oftentimes find that having to explain something, either to myself or to somebody else, really makes me understand the reasoning behind some things a little bit better, which informs my decisions better. So you will very often, like, if you were to sit here while I'm working, you will hear me talk to myself. Because that is a really good way to, like, rationalize things to yourself. Okay, we're going to keep this key around because we're going to use that at some point. What the fuck even is... Is this the... Why is there a second skylight here? What the fuck? So yeah, I've been thinking about hallways and I've been thinking about character designs. So it's been an eventful week since the last stream for me. I'm going to actually no, I'm not going to do that. This is the exact right height. We will be getting rid of that fucking thing though, and then let's put in some blockout tools. Don't care that it's out of range, because you always fucking say that, and it never is. Did I not? What did I copy? Did I copy the entire transform? Is that it? I might have. I definitely should have. Yeah, there we go. And then we're gonna snap you to 100s. Pretty good, right? Yeah, that's pretty good. And let's just, I think it was about this size before. We're going to maintain the same rough size. I'm just going to fill it up a little bit more. That's what I'm thinking. Okay. We copy this, we move it 100 units up, and then... So I'm guessing for a platforming level, it's actually... We're going to have 3 different paths for this platforming section, I'm thinking. To make it a little bit more interesting. Because the first platforming thing in the tutorial is just like, jump on these things until you're at the end. And while this is not like a 3D platformer, so it doesn't need to be fucking Mario 64 in here or anything like that. Matter of fact, I prefer it not to be. Specifically because otherwise Nintendo's gonna fucking invent a patent to sue me with. Because they apparently just can do that. Anybody who hasn't been keeping up with gaming news is really confused as to what the fuck I'm talking about. And number 2 is I don't want this to be like very like high effort, in-depth 3D platforming. All that this needs to do, and I say this every time I work on like one of these side levels, all this needs to do is be a momentary differentiation and distraction in the gameplay so that the combat over and over and over and over again doesn't get too stale. So you can think of it more as a mini game than anything else. But since it's not a 3D platformer, we shouldn't make this like too difficult or anything like that. But if we enter through here, and then we have like a door that we can exit through, like over there, we can have a bit of a branching path through all this, because then we also have the key, and I'm thinking we can put the key over somewhere else. That's the thing that we're looking for. So this will be a little bit of a maze too, that we're platforming through. But we have this key over here. And then we'll have a optional path that you can do to get like a bit of an experience drop. And that'll be fucking somewhere. So what I'm thinking is that the door will be high up here. There will be a split path somewhere around here. And then the key will require you to go down and then back up. And then within the split path towards the key, there's going to be another split path that leads you back here maybe to the upstairs area that lets you pick up a experience orb. This is the kind of thing, the only optional objectives that I have in my game for people to collect is experience orbs, which can be good, can be fun. But maybe introducing some other type of like optional collectible would be better. But I'm not sure what those would be. So I'm not going to do that right now. I can always go back and change the experience orb here into an optional like collectible thing. But I don't think for now we should be worrying about that too much. So let's take this wall over here, for instance. ID, would one of these rooms be fun to have the camera be in a fixed position in the room? That's actually interesting. There's also going to be in every single dungeon I keep calling them minigame rooms in my head because for the longest time that was supposed to be what they were. But rather, instead of minigame rooms, what they will end up being is more so like genre shifts. So in one dungeon, you might have that room take the form of a on rails shooter, or maybe just a shooting gallery or something like that. And another one, it might be like a something not too difficult. I was going to say kart racer, but I'm not going to program an entire fucking kart racing game in here because if we do, it'll end up with like fucking Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep flashbacks, and we don't want to do that. So for one of those, something like that will definitely be a good idea. But yeah, probably like maybe one of them will be a 2D platforming section. I don't know if that's too similar to normal 3D platforming. I'll have to think about that. I don't really have in mind what they should be. Ideally, they should also stack up a little bit with the theming of the dungeons. Like this dungeon here is, of course, like the catacombs. Then we have the red dungeon that I have like rough shape. Not even really a block out, just a shape for. And this is going to be like the church area. And then we have like a hospital wing, we have like training grounds, we have like an engineering area. There's like 6 different themes. And ideally, those genre shifts also kind of fit with those themes. So maybe in the like engineering area, what we'll do is we'll have like those like flash games that you had on the internet back in the day. There might still be versions of it where you had to like make the right food for customers. At this point, they're probably just like mobile phone games that do that. Actually, now I think about it, but you had like 5 conveyor belts with like buns and like lettuce and then burgers and then cheese, and you had to make the right combination for each customer that came in. For like the engineering area, I'll probably do something like that. Like it is a little bit more than just a mini game, but it's not like a full extra game that I need to develop. For this area, I don't know what I'm going to do yet, because what the hell kind of game genre fits very well with catacombs? Mario Party minigames are AAA mobile games. Kinda, yeah. Kinda. Okay, so let's start by making some blocks. I guess we can just like pull this up and make this 100, 100. So it's tiny. And then I'll just start pulling these up and out a little bit. I'm going to need to playtest this a lot, I just realized. And for this one, I think actually maybe we can start making them come out of the walls. Then at the very end here, what we want to have is, oh my, what the hell? No, yes. At the very end here, what we do want to have, I think, is going back down and just make this the wall. So immediately we have some more platforming going on here. I think with dashing, this should be fairly easy to make these jumps. Probably could actually move these a little bit more. This. A little bit more like this. Now that I have the walls in place anyway, might as well pull this back a little bit so that the floor can be somewhat variable height. More or less. Yeah, I think what we're going to do is I'm going to go into this level itself in the platforming. And we're going to be developing through here because now... can we please close my content drawer? That would be fucking grand. Thank you. Yeah, there's no light in here though, so we do need to put in a temporary skylight, but we can remove that later again. And we can just provide in the cube map, daylight, there we go. And then in my game mode override, we can just say default pawn class will be the PP third person character. And now I think I should be able to just play from here and be good to go. Yeah, okay. So this will either require a... oh, no, not even. Yeah, that definitely will require a dash, which is fine. It's fine if the jumps require a dash, to be honest. So that's not too difficult. But at least it's something more going on there, right? So I think that's pretty good. And then, I don't know, let's just pull this along like this. And then what? Definitely going to have some more movement in the platforms now. This is just an introductory thing, like, hey, do be aware, we're going to be jumping around a bit. And then the actual challenges will start here. But what will those challenges be? Tune in next time on Dragon Balls... wait, no. Wrong series. So, do I want to have those split paths start right the fuck now? Is the question. Because we can immediately split a path here, and then we can split one of those paths again at some point in the future. Because what I'm thinking is we definitely will want to have like a thing. Next time on Untitled Game. I mean, some people can just publish a game and call it Untitled Goose Game and make fucking bank. So I don't see why I couldn't do that. But yeah, I think it's actually a good idea to keep this area up here like visibly open, so that if you're platforming through here, you can immediately see, hey, there is a thing here to reach. So we can put down like an experience orb here, like XP orb. There we go. Maybe don't put it in the floor. That'd be helpful. And then this can give like 500 experience or something like that. Obviously, you're not going to be able to see that from down here. I just realized. So we'll need to think about that at some point. Like if we just... oh, the reflections of these things on this material are fucking insane. Like if we put it up there, we might be able to see it. So I can kind of just... we can make this work. It doesn't need to be super obvious, but it does need to be at least visible. So let's make this, I don't know, 500 by 500 instead. Maybe even less. Because right now, it's probably not visible again, right? Yeah. If we just make this 200 by 200. And then move this 50 units at a time. Move this kind of into place, and we'll fine tune the position for this in a moment. But I first want to see this. Like you can see something, and especially if I were to add some more particles to that, you can see something is up there. A little bit of lighting, we'll probably be able to make that work. I heard that you'll change the character. How do you do that? By making a new character. I'm spending way too much time for for that into it, sadly. Yeah, there's not much more to it than that. It's just like I have to put in a lot of work to redo my character. It's kind of all there is to it. And that's gonna take me like a good couple of days of work to get that all working. Oh, that's annoying. Oh, that's actually not that bad. Yeah, that's wish I had a better answer than that, but I really don't. Probably a couple more steps on this would be good, right? seems a little bit low. Maybe like 25 steps. That's better. And then we can closed. So yeah, I'm just gonna go into Blender and just make a new character that is better proportioned than the one that I use right now. And I'm gonna likely use the Unreal 4 mannequin skeleton to like rig it up with, so that I have all that. And that hopefully that won't be a huge waste of time. It'd be nice if it wasn't. Anyway, yeah, so this is inviting enough to the point where you can like see these stairs going up. So even if you can't quite see the experience orb, you can see that something fucking's going on there. So that's inviting you to reach that place. And now that am I this evil? I might be this evil, but what if? Hear me out. We have this as like quite a long hallway. And we have the platforming challenges. Let's say like 200 wide. Be kind of like this. So if you fail these, you fall the fuck back down to the start of the level. What I'll probably like actually end up doing for that is making this branch end up at this experience orb fairly quickly. If I do that, but I feel like that might be a little too evil, right? I feel like I probably shouldn't do that. But then again, if I don't do this, there is no punishment to failing this, because I can't really very well make a like a little like catching basket almost, right? Where if you fall down, you just go back to the start of this specific challenge. Because that would require me to do like something that at least doesn't allow me to jump up that high. So at least something this low. I don't know, that might make this hallway a little too like squashed down. But I suppose I could do that over here instead. And then I could, oh, actually that still works out fairly well, because this could be its own little like hallway that we have here. That we can like 100% just jump over and platform over. But then, well, having this amount of width actually is probably a good thing. But then when we're finished with it, we can just jump down here and start right back at the beginning. So that actually loops back in on itself without you having to go. Could you not? Thank you. Without you having to go through and backtrack just to get this little optional path. So that's probably a brilliant idea. I say about something that I just came up with myself, because modesty is definitely one of my strong suits. So yeah, we do something like this, 1100 instead. Something like this, and then let's just for now make these jumps of 1,000. That's not how that works at all. Like 1,000 units. We're going to need to introduce some slightly more interesting platforming for this, don't get me wrong, but we can come back to this in a moment. And we can just add in a wall here for the entire thing. That's fine, I think. And this is one of those other ones that, okay, you've just seen that. Now you're over here and you can see, oh, there's a thing up here that I can like squeeze through, but I can't quite make it. I think that's even more inviting for like exploration-based reasons. I know that I'm not making something that should be like very exploration-based. It's more of just like a mechanical challenge. But inviting people to look around this type of stuff's also just like straight up not a bad thing, right? So that's probably pretty good that we have something like this happening here. And we can pull this up and then like, oh, no. Oh no, make this 1,000 units long. A little less, maybe. 500. Oh, that's the wrong one. Oh, that was actually kind of fine. Maybe even proper heights. And then this we can make about half as high. Not that long. See, we're starting to get somewhere. Isn't this already a billion times more interesting than just a room with a couple of pillars that we had before? I think this is already so much better. Because I'm actually thinking about this kind of stuff. So, what's next for this area over here, though? And especially when we start adding in like art assets for all this, probably want you to be lower down. When this stuff has like art assets to it and like lighting, we can even steer the player's attention in the right directions a little bit more. It's going to be a good time. What's less of a good time is the fact that I have no idea what we're going to do now. I guess like one of the things that we're going to do before we decide what we're going to do is we're going to do a thing. And that thing will be putting down an extra wall here as well. I think that's probably for the best. That line up, that lines up. Or maybe having this as like a little bit of a look-in balcony from like over here is also kind of a nice thing. Wouldn't mind that too much. Yeah, so that's also one of those things that will help this feel less like a hallway while still just being a couple of hallways, is the idea that you can see one of the hallways from the other hallway. It doesn't physically connect them as much, but it's still in like a experience level, I guess you could call it. Still would connect them up fairly much. Fairly much? Man. I very good English today. I think we're going to make the first split here. So what we'll do is we'll just kind of path out in two-dimensional space how these splits are going to work, and then we'll actually worry about the three-dimensionality of the everything else. So what I'm thinking is we have this split over here. This will obviously eventually go up to Is that obvious? Like, how do we want these things to go? Because I'm kind of thinking that if they like loop around, like under and over each other, that's going to be better than just, hey, this way we go to the door, this way we go to this area over here. If we do it the other way instead, there's one, more content for the room that we're using, and two, I think it's just going to make for more interesting like shapes. So I think that's what we're going to be doing. Is this is then going to be connecting up to here. Which then will, oh no, don't do that, I want to copy it over, which will eventually like, actually we can just use this, connect up to there. So that is roughly the path that we're going to be taking for all this. We might do a little bit like weird stuff with this, but we'll see. Then this is going to eventually end up there, and then we still also need a place that we're going to be putting the key down. Maybe this is the best place to put the key down, actually. That's a good question. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm thinking this needs to go down before it goes back up. So we can have this on a relatively like level playing field. What we can do is we can make... This needs to have a little bit more going for it, right? Because this can't just be a fucking walkway. There needs to be something happening here. But we can just make that some moving platforms and it'll actually sort itself out fairly easily. So let's, yeah, let's put those in. So what we can do is we can just make that. And if we make these like 600, well, actually 500 by 500 by 100. We can just make like 3 moving platforms here, maybe. I'll probably 4 would probably be better spaced out as far as like timing goes, but it might not. Well, we can make this one go up and down actually, right? So that'll be fine. So that connects that up to there. So then what I'm thinking would be kind of fun to do is a situation where we have just gonna like block it out for you guys real quick. A situation where we have this little platform over here, which has a like very tall pusher on it. And I think you can kind of see where I'm going with this. So this turns from a hazard into a platform. So we have this thing doing like boom, staying for a couple of seconds, retracting, waiting for a couple of seconds, boom. When you're trying to deal with it on this platform, it is a hazard. But then once you've made it onto this platform, you're now trying to use it to make your way over to the next platform that will be over here. This straight up is just a thing from Crash Bandicoot. I'm going to be 100% honest with you about that. But I like it as an idea. So how are we going to implement something like that in these levels? Because what I'm thinking is we probably want to do that Yeah, that's a good question. How do we want to do that? Do we want to use that here, or do we want to use that here? Hmm. What I'm thinking we probably will do is we'll make this, because this needs to go down, right? This definitely needs to move like down a little. Not that much, but you get the idea. What we'll do here is we'll make this an area where we move down, and we have kind of, again, Crash Bandicoot-esque. We'll have these areas that we like move down with like this, but in a way where they slightly overlap, right? So you can't just jump down. Um, Kind of trying to figure out how long or how big these need to be for that to work. Probably don't need these to be that wide either. Like something like that works pretty well. We'll figure this out later. Yeah, so we do something like a little bit like oh, hold on. Yes, a little bit like this, maybe. So let's see if we take this and we 500 units enough. I think my carrot's about 200 units. Then another 500 units. Yeah, so something like this. We're going to see if this is maybe a little too tight. But these will have like spikes coming out of them or flames or whatever. So there still is some stress while you're going down all this. And then there's also going to be stress when you come back up all this. And you're going to need to do both, except... Okay, yeah. Except if you pick up a key and you die, you still have the key. And there isn't that much that I can do about that, I don't think. Because of the way my like event system works, like my flagging system. So this is probably a better thing to be leading just over here. No, maybe we don't do an experience drop optionally, and we just have these two paths. I don't know. We'll see. Because this way we also have it work in both directions, and this only leads to like a optional combat room anyway. So the fact that it is actually hell to get back and forth between is fine. And if you die on your way back here, you're going to be dropping your experience because we have like that aspect from a Souls game. So there is some punishment to dying in here after you've gotten the thing. In contrast to if we just give you the key, which sticks around after death. So yeah, I think that's what we're going to be doing. So yeah, let's, I don't know, move this entire, the fuck? Yeah, this entire thing down even more. And then the worry that I have, because I never stop worrying about fucking anything, is that this is going to be so fucking tight for the camera, it's going to be unreal. Well, it's going to be unreal either way. Man, that was a bad joke. But this might not be very comfortable to play through because of like the whole camera situation is what I mean. But we'll see. Maybe it's not that bad. It's probably going to be pretty bad. but we can hope. And then we'll just take this one, put it up top. Oh, and if we do this with fire, this is gonna look fucking awesome, because when you are here, and if you have your scalability settings set to at least high, you're gonna see the light coming from the fire. We'll probably put in some lights as well to like make it work on all of them. But you walk past here and you hear like the sound of the fire, and then this bit light up here. Oh, that's gonna look fucking lit. I mean, yes, it will because it's fire. That's gonna look awesome. Gonna love that. Just realized that we can definitely use this area here to do some platforming with as well. So yeah, maybe that's what we'll do. Maybe that is what we will do. So if we take, hopefully this is halfway interesting, because I'm coming up with all this on the fucking spot. So it might be the worst level design you've ever seen. Yeah, so we can just do a wall here as well. I don't know if we need that wall. Actually, maybe it's fine if that wall doesn't exist. We can always put it back in there later. What I'm thinking is maybe... Yeah, no, we definitely need that wall, because otherwise you're going to be able to make this jump. Don't want to be able to make that jump, so definitely have that wall in there. We can use this as like a path here. So we put down some level of platforming obstacles in here, so we can just fucking something like this, right? Doesn't need to be that interesting. I'll obviously change it up a little bit in a moment, but just to have something there. Slightly tighter hallway kind of makes that work a bit better as well. We will need to like have a floor here as well at some point, obviously. So that makes that work. Maybe not that, but maybe it's fine if we, as long as this is not a makeable dash, but I don't think it will be. So that'll be fine. There's also no reason for it to be that long, is there? Because we're going to be likely approaching that from the side. Are we? Maybe we are. I don't know. Yeah, so we can... Oh, where's... Oh, there we are. We can move this up by like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 units or something like that. Kind of. This is gonna need to be more interesting once again. But we can like platform up, platform over. And this can move up and down. But this will be a platform in and of itself. There will be a little bit of... Does that not connect up? No, it does. Never mind. So that will... Let's see. So this connects up through there. This will have to connect up to there, but how are we gonna fucking do that? How is this? which that does need that does need a wall as well. Not entirely optional. Well, that's fine. Okay, just pull that up. Cool. And then just for the sake of safety, so people like don't fuck themselves up, we'll put a ooh, but you need to be able to make those jumps to come back up. I don't know that these jumps are makeable. Ooh, they might not be. Yeah, I don't think they will be. Gotta test that out. Are these jumps makeable? Ooh, I think with ledge grabbing they might be. Let's check out. Collision. Wait, what? Do we not have... Oh, because it's not technically a static mesh yet. Okay, that's kind of annoying. That's really kind of annoying, actually. Is there any way for me to do this in the blueprint itself? To make the blueprint... Add static mesh components, add static mesh. Yeah, so because it adds static mesh component... through the construction script, we don't actually see it. I think there's a way to show that though. Oh yeah, I'll show it on the screen. So yeah, add box blockout. I think what we can do is we can like set collision response to channel, and we can set it to grab ledge to block, and that will now make all these blocks at least grabbable. We'll have to go through at some point when we actually have the static meshes for them and make that work. But for now, I think this should... Yeah, so that just about allows you to make it back up. But it's a tight fucking fit, I'll tell you that much. Yeah. And I mean, you can kind of just like... Oh, yeah, there we go. You can kind of just like snake your way through. So ideally, maybe they would overlap a little bit more still. If they were to be 100 units more in each direction. So we do like 100 more there, 100 more there. That shouldn't really change anything about the makeability of those jumps, but you'll not be able to like snake your way through as easily. So let's try that out. I think if it just, yeah. It's the tightest fucking jump ever, and sometimes it's too hard to make, but it technically is possible, and that's really all that matters. So yeah, now I think it'll be, especially with the ledge grabbing, I don't know what's up with the ledge grabbing, but it's kind of fucked. Yeah, so you can still do that, but that's always going to be a thing, right? Like going down is always going to be like a little cheesable, but I think this is pretty good. When you're up here, at least you can't see how far down you go. So for a first time, being a little bit more careful is probably a good thing. But yeah, so how do we come out of this over here and end up over here from the other side? Is the answer, I think. Right? If we pull this back over here, pull this over. Maybe don't do that. Use the green arrow instead. Yeah, so this will allow us to come through here from the other side fairly easily. And like we can put down some railings here. Again, temporary stuff, but it'll work. Oh, this one is actually one longer. What do you know? Not actually gonna put players off of jumping off of this, but at least you won't fall off it accidentally. Wait, what if you use one box for the inside? Would that be better for performance? First, this is all temporary stuff anyway. Like all of this is going to be replaced with static meshes at some point. That need to be like made in Blender once the level layout is finalized. And as far as making the entire outside box one static mesh, very likely gonna do that. Is it better for performance? Technically, but negligibly. Like within reasonable bounds, it's not going to make you perform any better or worse. Technically speaking, every like separate mesh that you have, especially if they're not instance meshes, will be like a separate thing that your CPU has to keep track of. So it's a separate actor with like separate transform and separate everything, whatever. But those are generally pretty low overhead, unless you're like adding thousands of them, and you won't notice it. Like the amount of power that it takes to render those things on a GPU is so much more of a limiting factor, and like the texturing for them, like the memory that it's using to like keep those textures loaded and displayed and whatever. That's generally more a limiting factor than the amount of actors in a scene. So if it for any reason ever it's easier to have a thing split up into a bunch of static meshes, especially if you then can like instance them and stuff like that, so that they can be like drawn together and batched together on the GPU. The small amount of CPU usage that will increase is probably worth it to make the GPU perform more efficiently. That said, though, with something this big, well, actually, no, I was gonna say with something this big, it's probably good to make it one thing because like your system will call things that you don't see, but that is actually an argument for making it out of smaller pieces. If you make something out of smaller pieces, it won't have to render everything when it's not on screen, while one big thing always has to be rendered as one entire thing. But in the end, the real answer is that it probably doesn't actually matter. Which is the answer to a lot of optimization questions a lot of the time these days. If you're making a giant AAA game, or just generally a very like high fidelity game, what the fuck? Oh, that's why. Or just generally like a very high fidelity game, that becomes slightly more relevant, but largely I wouldn't worry about it too much. You can always go back in and optimize things when they turn out to perform poorly. It's not to say that everything should have like 8K textures, because of course they shouldn't. But yeah, at this stage, I probably like wouldn't worry too much about it. So what's next? I guess maybe some moving platforms. Do we feel like some moving platforms? Moving platforms is a very easy way to just make things work. And make things like do things and stuff. Whatever we're going to do, we're going to need to have like one of these little catching baskets, because I'm not going to set up like a death plane or anything for this, because it's going to work not great with what I have set up. And that's an issue with my code, but that's an issue with my code that I'm not going to be fixing. So we're going to deal with it. Yeah. We have walls. You also note that a lot of this stuff just like clips through itself and that kind of thing. Because all of this is just like level layout. When I go in to like make this into actual static meshes, it won't do that, is the idea. Line up, that lines up. Okay. Simple bit of a step up so that we can jump back up here, and then okay, now we need to start thinking about what we're gonna do here, and then yeah, so I'm thinking the idea that I just had of like those bushes becoming platforms is perfect for platforming up this much and this high. We can have like a little bit of a resting platform in between, so we like jump up here, like from here to like jump up here, and then we have a bit of like a catching platform. If we fuck up, that we only get reset to the beginning or the halfway point actually, and then we like platform back up here, and then we can go to the door over there. I think that's probably the way we want to do this. And then I think what we might want to do is, yeah, okay, so this can be like a platform that goes up and down, and we can have like a sibling platform, for lack of a better term, that goes from here to down. Instead. So this will have to like move over a bit to this direction. And we'll like move this down to its eventual landing place, where we will create a platforming thing to someplace here-ish. And that's where the key will be. So yeah, I think it'll be kind of nice. I'm thinking we can just literally put the key on here. If there's any like weird ass speedrunners that eventually play the game and figure out a way to get the key early, that's fine. But you'll be able to see the key from pretty much everywhere in the level, which is important. This will tease you with a little like optional objective. Then you come over here. You might be able to see the key right away from here. If not, by the time you're here, you're going to be able to see it. If you make your way all the way through here, this definitely has a view of the key. if you make your way up here, this definitely is going to catch your eye with the key. So this is always going to like lead you to this central point. Also makes sense that the central point is the point that you're actually trying to get to. So yeah, I think that is the way that we're going to be doing that. So might as well, do we have the key? Or the delete that? Yeah, so key, where is it? Might as well just put that down over there right away. There we go. So now we just need to make the path to it. You can tell that I'm bouncing back and forth between these different paths a little bit because I have no idea, and it's just like they need to like snake around each other a little bit. Makes them kind of difficult to point out. So yeah, for these ones, let's just do like 2 simple moving platforms. I think that's fine. We'll just use ones with the exact dimensions of these, I think. So just copy it over. Move it. I like to move it, move it. Well, I have actually started playing Beat Saber again, so I do like to move it, move it. And there's one thing that I really realized with Beat Saber. This definitely needs to go down a little bit more, doesn't it? We'll figure that out in a moment. There's one thing that I really like figured out with Beat Saber, and that is anime openings. Anime opening songs are amazing for Beat Saber because they are made to be like the hypest shit ever. Which means that they generally have like pretty insane BPM and quite a lot of complexity to it as well, oftentimes. So they work very well for like songs that make you go through a little bit of a workout while also being fun to listen to. So if anybody's a Beat Saber person like me, it's very, very, very good tip, I'd say. Because I came up with it, and everything I do is always good. So yeah, this can probably just stay this way. And then we just copy over this wall. And we'll platform up against this wall a little bit. Of course, it doesn't need to be as big as it is. It does need to be lowered down than it is, though. 2024 still haven't got any type of VR. There's only like 3 good or decent VR headsets, so I don't blame you. I'm still on a Quest 2. I really would like a Quest 3, but god damn are they expensive, so I'm not getting one. What the hell? Why is this all the way? Oh, don't know what or how I did that. Oh, I just copied over the static mesh. Is that what I did? Yeah, I don't want to do that. Just want to. So for the recommendations, I downloaded the 2 openings to Dragon Ball Super. So that is fucking the dynamic whatever it's called, and the Tournament of Power one. And the Tournament of Power one I can't finish. It's fucking insane. It's actually crazy. But the first one, which Dragon Ball used for the majority of Dragon Ball Super, is just the right blend for me in like speed, complexity, like satisfaction level. To be fun, but also like get me sweating a little bit. Got to save on money for a $700 console. Yeah, or just don't get a Pro. Just get a normal PS5. That's what I plan to do when I eventually get one when Kingdom Hearts 4 releases. Unless they grace us with a day 1 PC release, but let's be real. That ain't happening. Upgraded from a Quest 2 to 3 and it's so uncomfortable. Is it uncomfortable? To be fair, I do have a custom Quest 2 like face mount thing. That is like all cushioned and like good quality leather and that kind of stuff. And then I also have like a custom head strap that is more than just like the 2 pieces of elastic fabric that they come with. So my Quest 2 is actually decently comfortable because the only stock thing about it is the actual like head mounted display thing. Like the lenses and the screens. But everything else from like a mounting perspective, I did upgrade to custom parts because the default ones are horrendous. So if that is a possibility with the Quest 3, I probably would do that as well. But that is like the Quest 3 is already so expensive, so it's kind of insane that you'd have to do that to begin with. Because that's easily like another $100 on top of what's already like, what is it, like 600 at this point? I haven't looked in a while. Definitely not buying a new one anytime soon because I'm quite happy with my Quest 2. I just use it as a PC VR set anyway. I don't need it to work as a standalone headset. Quest 3 has like slightly better resolution, I believe, and it's got official 120 Hz support, but Quest 2 can do 120 Hz. It's just a little wonky sometimes. Quest 3 comes with a strap so bad also, the one that I bought gets uncomfortable after like half an hour. That's not great. Yeah, that's like not great. But I imagine that you could just like mount most Quest 2 things to a Quest 3, right? Or is it like a different proprietary connection? Because it wouldn't surprise me if there was. That do be Facebook though. Well, it wouldn't surprise me if the Apple Vision Pro had that, but Facebook either. Because it's not that big of a difference between the two companies. Yeah, compared to resolution is not that noticeable. So if you use a standalone, I think it's worth keeping it too. Yeah, I think so as well. Like if it's just if it was just like a $100 upgrade or something like that, I might consider it. But the fact that I need to essentially buy an entirely new system, which costs as much or more as a like entire ass console would, yeah, how about I don't do that for what is essentially just a slight screen upgrade? I think I'm fine with my Quest 2. The only real upgrade that I would be able to do is go into like a like HTC Vive with like outside in tracking instead of inside out. But I just also don't have the room where I live right now to set up like lighthouses and that kind of stuff for that. So in order to do that, I'd have to move first, which I do want to do at some point. But that point is not now. Well, if I could find a nice place, I would move, but it's expensive to live. Oh, the pass through is also better. I heard that, yeah, but it's also another thing that I don't use that much. Like I use the pass through when I like have to grab my controllers, or when I that's actually all there is to it, really. Usually, like I put the headset on, I just had pass through, pick up my controllers and pass through, and I just start like beating the hell out of everything around me. I want a Quest 3 for Batman Arkham Shadow. Is that a VR only game? I haven't heard of that yet, actually. It's nice that there's actual like VR games though, because that's definitely a thing that's been lacking. I think I'm gonna leave this here for like camera purposes, maybe. We'll see. This also feels like it might be a little bit too much platforming up. So what we maybe want to do is, oh, not that. What we maybe want to do is just take this. Something like this is probably all we need, or want, right? So we just kind of thinking. You can just like make a lift up and down here. That's fine. Or an elevator. For those of you who want to go all freaking units on me. It's just for VR for MetaQuest 3 and not any other headset. Also, it's specifically a MetaQuest release as well. That's even more insane. Kind of cool though, still. Okay, how are we gonna start doing this? I think what I want to do for these is, because I'm going to need to turn them into static meshes anyway, right? To be able to like even animate them properly. So I don't know exactly the best way to do this. But let's make these like 500 by 500. And then you have another one like up here. Then the next one, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Then the next one will be here, but that'll just be like 600 units tall. So we jump from there to there. It's actually probably fine to have a thing that goes all the way up here, because you can see how quickly this stacks up in height. Like, just with one of these setups, we are already we might actually, could we just make this a level instance and put like 3 of them in a row? Well, that would be difficult with timing actually, so maybe not. So yeah, only with one of these setups we're already at a height where we can enter this. So that's actually probably like a nice thing. So we have just this one as a practice run, and then we have like 3 in a row to get all the way up there. That's definitely just accidental that it works out fairly well like that, but I'm not going to tell you that. Wait. Um, wait, what's going on here? Why is this one? Oh, that makes sense. So these two, we move around a little bit. Yeah, so there's only like height for 2 of these here. Even if we do like just 2 of these back to back. Well, I guess what we actually do is we do this, right? Move this back here. So we move from, this need a little bit higher, I think. Actually, no, That's not how that works at all, is it? So this is the first one we jump up on. Hold on. I think I've got this mixed up. This is the first one we jump up on. Then this one is... So now what we actually do is... This one just has to go up a little bit. So we go from here to here to here to here. Let's make these jumps a little bit more doable. This might be a little tight, man. We'll see. From here to there, to there, to there, to there. The entire thing actually is embedded into the wall, because why the fuck wouldn't it be? Oh, this is going to be sticking. Yeah, that's going to be sticking out, isn't it? Okay. I guess this is going to be in its own like separate streaming level that just gets loaded in when we enter through the... I will figure out the loading of this, or it's just going to play the animations only when we're in there or whatever. We'll figure that out later. And I guess this is just kind of the jump we make, right? So this is totally fine to be... Oh, maybe not. I was going to say, this is totally fine to be like only this deep. I can't make the blocks shorter because then they... then there's like not a lot of room for platforming, and this thing is only like 100 units thick, so it's going to be sticking through either way. And if you want me to make them like just scale them like this, that's going to like squash down the UVs for them as well, so that's not a good way to do that either. But these things only need to be moving while we're in this room, and while we're in this room, novel concept, we're not in this room, so we can just put a trigger volume like right down here to make them start moving, and then we can put a trigger volume like up here to make them stop moving, or up like whatever we end up doing. Like we can put a trigger volume like right here to make them stop moving and go back to like this default state, and then a trigger volume over here when we enter this, they will be moving when we like enter. So that way they will still be sticking through the wall, but we won't be there to see it. So issue will be fixed. Or we can just put them in a streaming level that we load in only when we're here, but then we're loading in and out assets, which might be annoying and hard to predict if people's PCs will be fast enough to load them all in. It's probably going to be fine, but you never know. So yeah, all that. And then I guess we just put like one final pusher here just to say fuck you to the player. Yeah, it's video game magic. Exactly. I guess we can just kind of make this entire area like one giant block. And this can... Okay, so when you get pushed off, you also actually need to like not be falling down. So we can very much just do this. And then this giant block can just extend all the way through there to make things feel a little bit more filled up. And then in all honesty, I think I'm going to pull this wall back here to make this entire thing feel a little less empty and open. And then... yeah, just pull this all the way back here. honestly. Yeah, and then we can just like kind of do this. This is a makeable jump. But that means it's a makeable jump from that direction as well. So maybe do that. Because we just learned that 500 units is a makeable jump. Standing straight. So this needs to be like at least 600 units tall. Well, I guess the way we can do that is make this like 600 units tall. And just make this thing go up and down, but then we only need that one, so why would we even bother? I guess we can just make this one of those things that goes like sideways into the wall instead. That might make more sense for these jumps anyway. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, I think that is what we're going to be doing. So then we can make this jump. That jump does not seem makeable, so that's good. We can is a little bit less thick. And now this jump is fully makeable. And we can close this area up as well. Kind of. Hold on. Almost. We get in there. We get in there. Good enough. And then this is honestly just kind of that. Suppose we might as well just pull this up. This room is starting to take good shape. It's taken a while, but we're getting somewhere. They can't tell me that this feels like a hallway at this point, right? I said like, this is what I mean. These are individually hallways in like every sense of the word. But like going through these, like this is like a coherently filled up, like looping around on itself kind of level at this point, which I think is a good thing. So, congratulations, me. That pretty much finishes one of our paths, aside from the animation thing, but we'll worry about that in a moment. I did not intend this to be one lower, but that might actually be nice. I don't know. Maybe not. This seems pretty good. Like, even from the outside, this is now more than just a box. It's an L-shaped box, which everyone knows L-shaped boxes are better than just normal boxes. Like, all that said, though, we definitely need to hide some of the shit that we are creating here. Getting so, trying to get away from Adobe, so I have this stream while I'm working rebuilding my portfolio website because I used Adobe's portfolio what I had as subscription. Yeah, I have a similar thing with Adobe Premiere and After Effects. Like, I don't really want to be using them. There's not even to talk about Substance Painter because it just isn't as good an alternative to it that is the same amount of quality. So I'm probably just gonna like not change away from Substance for a while. But like I'm also trying to move away from Premiere to using DaVinci Resolve more. But DaVinci Resolve kind of like it's good and essentially free, and even the license is very affordable compared to Adobe. But it's also there's so many unpolished bullshit type of things that I just don't want to deal with. And some of those things are just like legitimately lower quality. Like Adobe's built-in like AI transcriptions are legitimately just better than Resolves, which is quite relevant because those are also the tools used to automatically like cut out silences. Because what they do is they generate transcriptions, and then everywhere there isn't dialogue or there isn't like any like voice speech, it can mark as, hey, I can cut this out. Issue with Resolve's version of this is that what it does is it's looking for everywhere where it says either nothing or like two brackets with ellipses in between them to mark silences. But it uses Whisper AI, and Whisper AI is not consistent in the way it describes silences. So sometimes when you have a period of no audio, it transcribes that as, between parentheses, no audio or no sound. And DaVinci doesn't pick those up as, I need to cut these out. So it doesn't. So I end up having to cut out all that bullshit myself anyway, which ends up saving me like not that much time. So I legitimately just can't use it for that, and that's a pretty big feature that I use somewhat regularly, specifically for like my YouTube stuff. So like I'm not a huge fan of all that. Oh yeah, probably actually. Ooh, that's a fantastic point. I don't want to pull this up because then I won't be able to see the key very easily. But I don't want to be pulling this down too much either because then you can jump up on it. And I don't want that either. And even if I pull this down, you can still like jump up on it. So I guess this has to be all the way up. And then we just need to move this a little bit over, so that there's a little bit of room for you to spot those that key over there, right? That's the way that we're going to be dealing with that, I think. Yeah, so again, this definitely needs a little bit of work. Then we need to have a platforming section to connect this up, and then all that we need to do, connect up this to platformers over to there, and then we are done. As a cute fans, not gonna lie, I did not make it. But it is a fun fence. It's definitely going to not look like that in the final game. Because this, I don't know, beyond everything else here being very TF2 inspired in like its block out look, for some reason I feel like this is an asset straight out of TF2, but it's not. It's very, very not, but still. You could put an invisible wall. I could. I don't like putting down invisible walls just for the sake of preventing a player to go somewhere. Like putting an invisible wall somewhere because the collision of a actual obstacle is weird, and you're just like, okay, we have like a visual reason not to be going here, and we'll put down an invisible wall for the like technical side of that. I don't mind, but just putting an invisible wall like here, where there's nothing there to actually stop you, I personally don't like that if I don't have to do it. And I think this is a better workaround. Like if you want to jump down here, fucking like be my guest, right? Well, that's sad actually. Maybe we do need a invisible wall here anyway. Now that I think about it. Yeah, I probably do, because you don't want people to jump over this, because what the fuck? What the fuck even are we going to do with the floor for this room? I haven't thought about that yet. Just spikes along the wall top. Could do that, but that also feels a little like out of place. But that also would work. Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do with the flooring for this area. I haven't really considered that before. That's issue for future me. I guess we could just like make a kill plane down here. Maybe that wouldn't be that bad. Bone pit, just bones. Yeah, it's just like a bone pit as a kill plane. That might work fairly well. We'll see. Let's move this piece of wall down as well. I guess this box can move over one more unit, or well, 100 more units actually. Wait, what? Sure. Lava pit. Yeah, something like that. Not specifically lava pit, because that, again, doesn't really fit the theme here, but something like that's probably what we're gonna end up doing. I think I have a blueprint somewhere that's just like a killing zone. Big beast patrolling the floor. That could actually be kind of nice. That actually could be kind of nice, yeah. But for the most part, I don't think that people are going to end up down at that floor, but there needs to be something visually there, because just having like the endless void of space down there probably isn't a great thing. For now, though, let's actually, before I forget, because right now I'm thinking about it, this is the most fucking ADHD level design stream that I've done. But we definitely do want this to be connecting up here. And then we might as well pull this down to match. Yeah, so we can just like pull this over. Closing these things up a little bit more so that there's no need for a lot of flooring is also probably a smart idea. So that's what I'm doing right now. Well, that actually ends up working out perfectly fine as far as like the shape of things go. So yeah, then the only thing is like if we're over here, you can still see. Oh, the key doesn't spawn in. That's fantastic. We can still see the key like island from here, right? So we can just close this off all the way. That's what I'm thinking. All the way like through here. Because we're gonna need to like move through here anyway. And then, oh, but that's also going to be a thing, isn't it? Because if we fall down here, we're going to end up down here, and that's going to be like, that's supposed to be a separate path. That's not supposed to be like, hey, we can get you if you fall down here. But then again, this actually kind of works out as a we can get you if you fall down here thing as well. Okay, I'm going to take a very quick bathroom break, and when we come back, I'll have inspiration. I keep forgetting that I have a button that I can manually run ads with. So when I go to the bathroom, I might as well just like make money, right? Keep forgetting that I can do that. Anyway, all that said, um, I just realized that I can't even make this like a little like catching basket because if we fall down from here, our catching basket goes back up here. We can bypass this entire platforming thing. So that's just straight up like not how that works. Hold on. YouTube is complaining. Stream is currently bitrate 0. What does it say? What the fuck? Surely that's not correct. Yeah, it just doesn't know. Yeah, it just doesn't know how to deal with all this. Okay, never mind. I thought it was just gone offline there for a moment, but no, luckily not. So yeah, I guess what we actually end up doing is we make this a little bit more narrow. Because then this can function as I can call it catching baskets. I don't know. It's just a funny term. But this can function as not having you fall down into eternity forever. And then the other side of that, and we can make it a little bit thicker than it is right now. I know you guys like it thick. You have a good day too, and I will be back streaming on Thursday again anyway, so don't you worry. We'll be back. This time I'll actually stream on Thursday instead of last week where I was busy like remodeling parts of my house. So yeah, this is quite thin. Hold the fuck on, I'm an idiot. I mean, we already knew that, but now we have confirmation of it. If you needed that. Because I very much can just fucking remove this wall. And we can make a platforming challenge that direction where we don't have this issue. And then this entire thing can just be its like own catching basket. So this will work out just fine. And for this one, I don't think actually oh, maybe I do care. Yeah, I think I'm going to put some invisible walls down here anyway. As much as I don't want to, I don't know if I can figure out a good way to... I guess what I could do, just make that ever so slightly like peek through. If I just do this, this makes it uncheesable, but still lets me peek through there, which I kind of like. And then I can put an invisible wall just in this little area here. I think that's fine. I think making this entire thing invisible walled off, but just like putting an invisible wall between these two existing walls is probably fine. And it just lets you like peek through a little bit. Like if I just play from here, like that's all that you need to be able to see, right? So yeah, man, I'm starting to like the design and like the layout of this level. This is probably one of the favorite levels that I've made so far, and it's really making me think that I probably should have just made a 3D platformer. Oh well, here we are with not a 3D platformer. We can always just pivot and remove literally every bit of combat in the game and just make it entirely about platforming. Certainly a thing that we could do. I won't, but I could. So yeah, let's maybe make this. Can't access this way. We can make this wall just extend all the way the fuck up and over. So that blocks off at least part of the issue here. And then we guess we can just kind of like do this, right? Yeah, that's maybe a bit too much. Guess we just do this. I promise it'll be more interesting to listen to in a moment again, but for now I just gotta kind of focus. Or maybe it won't be interesting and I will just like sound like your average Blender tutorial. I was gonna do an Indian accent there and then I decided not to. I don't think that's gonna go well for me if I do that. Because number one, I'm horrible at accents, and number two, I really would rather not get cancelled if I could help it. Not enough button clicking for a Blender tutorial. Yeah, OBS is probably filtering that out pretty well. Like if I do this very up close. Is this better? Do you like this? Does it make you happy? Because it's not making me happy, I'll tell you that much. Okay, so we have a floor now as well. Like if we look into this area, we don't look into the endless void of space anymore. I don't think from anywhere do we see the endless void of space. So that technically counts as a level. I'm guessing. We have all that. And we have, I do really like how it all loops in on each other. I will keep saying that. Because it's true. But then, oh, hold on. There is the issue of wanting to be able to see it from here as well, though. Which might be less than ideal for what it is now. Then again, maybe it's fine. Maybe it's just fine. Is it just fine? I also don't know what I'm going to do with this open space here. Like, how am I going to design a level around this stuff? Like a platforming challenge, rather. Without a shadow of a doubt, I think I want to make the opening here a little... Actually, just all the way like this. I think that's kind of nice. Pushes it out against the wall. Makes that kind of like snugly fit. I have to make the approach from this side so that you can see it from like this balcony over here. So what's likely gonna happen here, if I were to guess, is we're gonna put like a block somewhere around here That's going to be kind of like hold on. We'll get there. Kind of like this shape. Just filling up empty space at this point, honestly. It's 3 dungeons, or 3 dungeons per key. No, it's 3 keys per dungeon. So every dungeon is going to have a key that you gain through combat. For the most part, at the moment, the way I envision that is just like a spawner with a couple of waves of enemy that locks you in until you beat it. But in some cases, or maybe down the line, I'll replace that with mini bosses. I'm not entirely sure yet. But it's going to be combat based. One is going to be platforming based, and one is going to be like one of those genre shifts. I already have a placeholder. Oh, I don't actually have it loaded at the moment. I already have like a placeholder area with like placeholder enemies for the combat key for this dungeon. This is the platforming key, and then I need to make the genre shift, but I don't know what I'm going to do for that yet. I'm kind of tempted to steal this ID and put it on this wall as well, because it'll look visually interesting from this area, and that's what you've just done when you get up here. And this is definitely like a more complex version of it. Like just doing it once is probably like fine for this area over here. Yeah, you see, this is definitely like just one of them. It's going to be plenty to make it up here. Oh, they do get kind of like close to each other, don't they? When we want to do that. Maybe a little too close. We'll see. Probably move this one more. Actually, I think that is centered now, right? Because this is 200. And that's also 200. So that is now properly centered. It really doesn't look like it. It's probably because this one is up a little too high. Okay, so we have that. Let's move this around. Matter of fact, we don't actually need it all that far in. Well, this is probably fine. Make this into the good old catching basket. Phrase that I'm gonna fucking copyright at some point. I swear to you. It's fine if it just pushes it down in there. It doesn't need to push it down back into the little basket area. That would be a little bit too evil. I try not to be evil. Sometimes it's tempting, man. Sometimes it's tempting. Yeah, so is that a makeable jump from there? Let's see. Definitely not, right? Yeah, it's definitely not. Okay, let's not die. No, 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 no. I can't believe that we'll have spent the entire stream by the end of this on just this one room. Again, I'm very happy with how this room is coming along. I haven't even animated any of the obstacles yet, though. But that'll be a thing that we do next time then. I kind of expected to only spend a bit of time on this room, even if we were going to redesign quite a lot of it, because I already had a halfway decent version of it ready to go. But then we made this entire thing, which is so much more evolved. So yeah, I'm a little surprised that this has so far taken about 2.5 hours, which is also because I'm a master at getting sidetracked, to be very fair. Yeah, so that should make the one jump possible, but not to jump across, right? Can I just dash across? Oh, I can just dash across. Oh, fucking, of course I can. Fuck me. Well, maybe that'll be the challenge. Maybe that will just be the challenge, dashing across there. That can work. Can we just make like these? I mean, you can call it coping or you can call it creative solutions, which is the same thing. So what I was thinking is, well, we can actually just do that. Never mind. Like 800, and then this one also. Oh, of course I meant 900. It would be stupid if it were 800. Who would even think that it would be 800? I mean, that's fucking dumb, isn't it? Like you'd never. It's still not going to be enough, is it? Yeah, no. So it's technically 850 or 950 for both of them. Well, I suppose we'll just do that then. And this will be another one of those where it... Oh, no, actually, I think this one can just literally move back and forth at all times because it's not going to clip into anything. That's fantastic. So these will just, like, bump into each other, and when they're not bumped, you can dash through. It's very simple, but it's something. And I think that it's fine if this is just like a little bit of an empty area. Like, this is so densely packed with stuff. Okay, there's definitely another area here that's a wide open space, to be fair. Yeah, maybe we need to reconsider this for a bit. Because what the fuck are we going to do with all this? I guess a fun way to deal with this would be making it go up like very high in order to be able to make this jump with a dash, but not be able to get up here, ideally. So probably can't make that jump, so we need to make a little bit more of a slow progression thing. But like this, it might work. So we can, oh, you can definitely make that jump a little higher over there. So we can jump. And then with like 2 dashes, you can barely make this. It's better than nothing, okay? Maybe we can add in a little bit more there by adding in like an extra little bar here. So you need to make it on. But that creates the potentiality for skipping a lot. Right. Then again, if we make it this, you're never going to make that jump, right? You're never going to make that jump. So that's fine. And if you've made it all the way the fuck up here, this could actually be a nice one to like jump over and then duck through here and get your way. Yeah, that's actually kind of nice. That's actually kind of nice. That works out fairly well. So that makes it a little bit more like, okay, I need to duck under here and then, okay, yeah, that is kind of nerve-wracking, but it works. So you have to not have too much height. I actually think that that's maybe a bit too much. So let's move it down just a little like this, not too much, a little bit back. Yeah, that feels good. I think we can even make it with one dash, actually, maybe. At that point. If we just do this and then dash. Oh, no, you definitely need a double dash. Nintendo, don't sue me. Okay, so this is 3, 5, 7, and then 1,000. So that could be 400, 600, 800, and 1,000, and that'll make every step equally as much up. And then we could even, if we really wanted to, add a little 200 stub over here, because why not? Maybe we can actually, like, if we do that in the middle. There's no exact middle for this, is there? Not at 100 unit scale. So it's 500 units wide, yeah. Well, now it's in the exact middle, that's fine. I think we might be able to skip the one on the right entirely now with that. Yeah, we can, but that's fine. Yeah, okay. Oh, we still need to make something here. Ah. I have no fucking clue, man. I do think that this is a pretty halfway clever way to deal with this, but then what the fuck do I do here? Do I just make some moving platforms? Is that what I do here? I think that might be what I do there. Maybe throughout the rest of the week I'll get some inspiration to get me some ideas, but for now I think we'll make them smaller, like 250 by 250. And then we'll make this move to like over here. This moves side to side. This moves over here. I'll have one that moves side to side again. And then I'll move up this wall a little bit so that we can only enter through here. See how quickly you can make something like this happen? We now have a platforming challenge. You're welcome. They don't move yet, obviously. That's everything there's to it. So, since we're having so many like moving platforms at this point, and I had some trouble with animating these things in a previous level, I do think I'm not going to do that today. I think we're ending of the stream in a moment. I do think that we're going to have to make a blueprint for moving platforms because that's going to be a thing that happens a lot. And it's essentially the same thing as those like little stomper things that I have. And those like little, actually they are exactly the same code as the what did I call them, like electric or something like that. Yeah, the electric bars. Bars? What the fuck? Electric bars auto move. Like, this is exactly the same code. We have this arrow here to decide what direction they move in, and then a variable for on the thing itself, then a variable for how far they travel, and then a offsets and how long they take to travel. And then distance. Oh, the distance here is the distance between those two things. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So with just those couple of variables, we very easily have something that can like move back and forth. This is literally the same code. It just needs to be one static mesh for a platform, and that's it. So now that I say that, maybe what we should do is we should go in here and is there a way to make this like a child of that? I guess if we just like don't use the Niagara system, just set that to null, set the second static mesh also to null, we kind of have what we need, right? Like if I just say, hey, static mesh this, you are clear. Oh, now never mind. The construction script overrides that. Yeah, so what we'll actually do instead is, why can't I delete this? Hello? The fuck is wrong with you? There we go. What we'll actually do is I will go into my blueprints. I'm not going to be replacing all of them. But it is remarkably easy to just make a actor here, BP moving platform. Just throw in a static mesh. Default can just be, fuck if I know, just a cube. Works for me. Then we'll add in an arrow, which will be attached to the default scene route. And then with all that we need to do is we need to just copy pretty much everything over this. Put that in there. And just make all of these variables. So we have start location and end location. Move timeline. It's just called timeline in this case. So let's copy that over. Start offset is create variable. This one we're going to expose. The duration is create variable. This one we're going to expose. Move timeline is just the timeline. And that's kind of all there is to it, I think. Yeah, so that should now, our distance to travel, that makes sense. Yeah, so that should now just straight up work, right? If I put the moving platform in here, and I say, hey, you're going to be moving over like this. The duration will be 2 seconds. Distance to travel will be 500 units. Start offset will be 0.5. Which I think is in normalized time, right? Yes, because there's a timeline that just goes from 0 to 1. So when I start here, yeah, it starts in the middle and it moves back and forth. Fucking there you go. The only thing that I can't really like modularly change is the curve in here, but it's already kind of like eased in. I can't really change the easing of the individual curves. I don't think, unless... can we do anything with like new track 0? Can we like set custom curve or something like that? That'd be kind of nice if we could. Set curve. Set float curve. Float track name. And get curves. Like, how would that even work? Movement. And I guess we need to change this name to movement as well. Okay, so this curve is like real fucked up, right? Because it's just... oh, it's actually not that bad. I need a curve that is really fucked up for testing purposes. So we like, let's just do something like this, just to see if it will do that. Because if we can put in a custom curve like that, that would be actually fantastic. Because then we can make that a variable as well. I updated this to be called movement, right? Yeah. So I'm assuming it's just going to be finding this based on the name, right? Yeah, I don't think so. It's just moving back and forth. Update a certain float tracks curve. Oh, I had a typo, I think. And this goes from a value of... which axis is time? This axis is time, right? So... what the fuck? It's minus 100? This should be 0, 0. Okay. And this should be 1, 1. Just to make this absolutely mad. It's moving very slightly. And it is just moving back and forth. Why does this say minus 77 at 0.6? I don't understand this whole curve thing, man. Let's do a normalized view. Surely this is, like, this is on a 0 line. Well, in normalized view it is anyway. Needs to be on an absolute view. So the second one here is the value. I'm just going to remove every single key. This needs to start at 0, 0. Where is 0, 0? There is 0, 0. This curve editor is kind of fucked, not gonna lie. Then we add a key, and that key is going to be at 1, 1. Can I then make this snap to like fill my... I guess now we have that, we can do a normalized view. And we can fuck around with that a little bit. So we can do like a little bit of this. fucking something like that. I don't know. We are using that curve, right? The like audio control, like the weird ass curve. That's the curve I'm using, right? Oh, I wasn't. That might also make sense as to why it wasn't doing things and stuff. Okay, so I can do these with custom curves because there's clearly like this is the curve that I just made. Like that adds up. Never done that before. That's kind of neat. Let's promote that to a variable curve. It's not that impressive, I know, but it'll work. Okay, but the default should definitely just be a normal. Hold on. Because right now the default value is that weird ass curve. I think the default should just be the smooth ramp. Which would be, hold on, I want to play from here instead. Yeah, we can fine-tune it a little bit. So whatever we want to do. And like we can just jump on this and everything is good in the universe. To be fair, you can very much just jump over everything like that, but who gives a shit? Yeah, so that's a moving platform. That blueprint exists now. Next time we'll put that in everywhere that we need moving platforms. And then I guess these can just be like those like little stomper type things that we had. We can repurpose that for those. This doesn't need to move. These can also be those stompers. So we pretty much have everything that we need as far as like blueprints and coding goes to implement everything. But I am going to end it here. Because it's been 2.5 hours. And I would very much like to not be in this level anymore. Because it's been exhausting. But I'm very happy with the layout of this level. Like, this is actually like really good shit. It's been a while since I've actually been happy with making something, and I'm like, yeah, I don't feel like we're going to need to change too much about this. Like, once all of this is in place and it works, and it's animated, we're pretty much good to go as far as like level layout goes. So yes, we spent 2.5 hours making this, but we also have 2.5 hours worth of quality in here, and there's like a lot more content now than there was when this was just a room with some pillars. So there's that. So yeah, we have all that. Let's save it. And let's go back to the persistent level and see how fucking badly it clips into other things. Because it's probably going to clip in pretty badly in some places, but we'll manage to figure out. It's not that bad even. It just clips into some place because it's only going to load in one level at a time anyway. Yeah, so it's right this over here. It doesn't clip into anything because it's the same size as before. It just has like this little weird appendage to it now. Oh, okay. Neat. So next time we finish up this thing, and then fucking we're gonna leave this for last because it's just an optional room for like combat grinding purposes. So then next time there is this room left, which I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this. And then this little like T-split hallway. There's gonna have to be a mini game type room here that I haven't decided on yet, and then the boss entrance over here. And this is pretty much good for like a temporary block out for the boss fights domain anyway. And then we'll be done with the level designs for this entire fucking dungeon. Still need to light up half of them, but we're making good progress. And once all the level designs are in place and everything is lit up, I'm going to be having some people test this. And we can start working on a replacement character design, which is going to be fun. I might do that off stream in between as well. I don't know what I'm going to do. We also need to make at least like 1 or 2 more enemy designs here, because I'm severely lacking in variety of enemies. There's a lot of work to be done still. And then we have 1 dungeon. We need 6. Yay. And this needs like art all over the place, and then revised lighting once the art is in place, and it's going to need sound design, and it's going to need to give me a headache. But I'll be back on Thursday to do some more of this, and thanks everybody for stopping in and having fun and hanging out. And today we had a quite active chat. I like that. I like being able to get distracted while I'm working, because that's just kind of what I do. 1 slice out of 6-piece pie. Pie is good. Pie definitely is good. I would like some pie right now. Apple pie